Good evening and welcome. And how the devil are you all? Well, the young vine first in the house. That's what I like to see. Their girls lining up. Abigail French, fourth line. Tracy Dodds. You girls are killing it. Killing it. It must be my quiff. Anyway, behave yourself because Sue's in the background. Don't say anything rude. Nothing rude because Sue's in the background. Good evening, Frank Casey, Denver Skinner. Good evening, Denver. Where have you been? You've not been on our live feeds on a Sunday night. You're gallivanting. Graham Allison, good evening to you. Christopher, good evening to you. Karen Evans, good evening to you. Got nothing else to do, Karen? Got nothing better to do? J Bird Training, good evening to you. Lewis Fragan, good evening to you. Tim Weston and Peter Piper, Pepper. I say that every freaking week, don't I? Because it just comes into the top of my head. Peter Piper, Pepper. Anyway, what a freaking week, eh? What's been happening across there with Israel, eh? Terrible, isn't it? Terrible. It's just unbelievable, isn't it? Why can't we all just make love instead of have war, eh? Why can't we all just be peaceful with each other? Get on with each other. Nothing until Ailey gets back from my nan's, laugh out loud. I'm normally there, but I've told my nan I miss church for no one. Bloody hell. We're not talking about religion tonight. Religion is the cure of all evil at the moment, isn't it? I was saying, they said we need God's prayer for Israel and Palestine. Just unbelievable. We don't want to go into it too much. Let's talk about dog training, shall we? Let's talk about dog training. I've been having some cracking videos, and I am getting around to putting them up. And Corleone Talk as well. You've been sharing videos on there. Absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. And I take my hat off to you all. It's all coming together, isn't it? There's so many of you putting up videos now where you're showing your dog. Sorry, I was reading that at the same time. I'm trying to do 17 things. People are talking to me in different formats of different things. It's great this time of year. I love this time of year. There's been some good ones on Patreon this week. Yeah, there has, Graham. And that's what makes the group, isn't it? You guys putting up your videos and me critiquing them and just, giving you feedback on what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong. Yes, it was. I've watched that one. Yeah, Karen. Can I start picking a runner? Look at this. It's just unbelievable, isn't it? Eh? They're out there. This time of year, I absolutely love this time of year because you're dogging in, you're pushing birds back. And at the end of the day, it's giving them young dogs that's coming into that first season the experience of flushing and stopping. I had a video sent to me yesterday or today, and it took ages to download the way you've sent it to me in the format. But I downloaded it, and I had to ask him, is this the first dog you've trained, or have you trained other dogs in the past? And I didn't recognize who it was because I deal with so many people. Because I didn't see him, I just saw the dog. And he explained that he came to Shap when we did the training at Shap, and I couldn't put the face to the conversation. And he said, right, what is the video that bad? Is it the first dog you've trained? And I asked that question because you wait and see. I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to spoil the party. You wait and see. And is it all about the most pacey dog, the most driven dog? Or is it the partnership that you've got that dog working for you and loving to work for you? Now, I love a driven dog. Don't get me wrong. That is my buzz. That's what I've always loved, a driven dog. But I tell you what, isn't there something wonderful between the partnership of a dog that wants to play the game with you and you play the game with the dog and you've trained it right and it's not the most driven dog, but you've got that partnership, and that is so important as well. And if I'm not being rude if I said that is a mid-paced dog, it could do with another drive. Well, if it can get another drive, sometimes you haven't got the control. Jay Bird says, someone is sending me their GSP for training. The client said that he sent his dog away for 8 weeks at age of 16 weeks of age for bird dog training. Oh my God. He also said the dog is jumpy around the gun and struggles to find birds. I wonder why, Jay. I wonder why. The amount of people that bombard a young dog with too much. Evening, Larry from Scandinavia. Larry Otter from Scandinavia, eh? They're from everywhere, aren't they? People drop in to have a chat from everywhere. Dumb training, exactly, Jay. Exactly. And that's the problem, isn't it? I'd rather see a dog do very little for 12 months. You're not putting pressure on the limbs. You're not putting pressure on the dog. You can start getting that training into that dog and watch that dog develop very quickly when you start putting the training into the dog. Incredible how many you reach. Well, it is, but not, Karen, because with our Patreon, we've got 200, 300, whatever it is, members. And that's a lot for a lot of Patreon sites, but it's not compared to what I used to bring in with members, subscribers, as we used to call them, didn't we, on YouTube? But YouTube was free, and YouTube helped so many people out there, and it gave me a platform. Not everybody wants to pay, but I have to be true to my people who look after me, and yet I'm still on the internet, giving out a little bit of information, sharing a few videos, having a laugh with people, because I believe that there's too many of these trainers out there that are just they're too serious, for God's sake. Too serious, aren't they? Everything's I was watching that Robert Cabell, and I like Robert. I like a lot of things he says, but you can't tell me that he's talking about people rubbishing the tool and rubbishing him as a trainer. And I've never seen him do anything cruel that I've thought that's cruel. And because he talks about corrections and discipline, the hate mob is like so poisonous. They just throw it at you and they accuse him of being cruel because he uses the tools. You have to help me on that one, Sue. What does Larry Otter say? Extreminiando. What the hell? Come on, help me with that one, Larry. Break it down for me. I'm dyslexic. And isn't it funny? It's the purely positive movement that like to say they're purely positive. Well, we know there's no such thing, but they're the ones who love to attack anybody who uses the tools. I think Larry's just put up a feed. I had a quick look at it, and he's talking about people saying, why do you use the e-collar and why do you use the tools if you I've not seen Larry use a prong collar, but why are you using the e-collar if you can train a dog without the e-collar? And I think he made a good point. At the end of the day, we don't need the e-collar, but we're there to give the dog the freedom. And if you've got a naughty dog, trust me, the old way of getting after that dog is visually upsetting to anybody out there in the city world. He means it exactly, I think. Laugh out loud. All right. Freaking, I never realized that Karen could speak. What is it?
Just agree with you.
Disagree with you. Right. Brilliant. And I've never. Well, he said he didn't realize that the hate mob are so hateful that anybody uses the tools and talks about the tools. The reason that Larry talks about the tools, the reason that Robert talks about the tools, is the fact that we don't want to see people using them the wrong way. So we're trying to educate, and by educating, but if that dog gets freedom because you use the tool and you use it in a compassionate way. But the one thing I disagree with Robert in that video that he just put up, I don't know if any of you saw it, he said it's not painful. I disagree. At certain points in the training, I've got to make it uncomfortable for the dog. And if I say that I don't use punishment or I don't use pain on the odd occasion, and it's within the parameters of within the law of training, see what happens. I can get myself into trouble, can't I? Because you'll get people going, he said he uses pain. Yep. You get pain when you have to pay your speeding fine and you get your points on your license. It's painful if you get it, isn't it? That's what makes me slow down and not race around everywhere. Else me, I'd like to race around everywhere to get there quicker. But it's painful if you get pulled over by a policeman and says, hang on, you've been doing 110. You're going to lose your license. So I don't do 110, right? But do I speed? Oh, I've got to confess. Don't lock me up. Please don't take me away in a police car. I have speeded, and I will continue to speed on the odd occasion, but I don't think I'm reckless. But if there's speed limits and we get caught, we have to pay the fine. Now, I know that if I'm doing over 100, I stand a chance of losing a license, so I don't do over 100. Can I drive at over 100? Of course you can on some of these lovely roads, but I don't drive round bends at 100. But that's not the point. The point is they need to make it painful that you don't want to do it again because it's painful. Anybody who's got a number of points on the license has to slow down massively, don't they? Because they could lose their license. Well, I don't agree with what Robert said. We don't use pain. If the dog wants to chase sheep, I'm going to give it pain. I'm going to give it pain. I'm going to teach it that's unacceptable. If I've got a dog that's already chased sheep and the prey drive is up there, as we say, the desire to want to eat the sheep, chase it, catch it, and damage it, the punishment's got to fit the crime. If I've got a dog just looking at sheep, I can just condition the dog not to look at the sheep and concentrate on me with the e-collar. But I have no hesitation, and I don't feed bullshit when I say, oh, I use the e-collar, I use dog training, I use punishment, but none of it hurts. Exactly, Jordan. If the dog chases sheep, the pain is a lot less painful than being shot. And it's definitely less painful for the sheep who haven't got a brain. And if the dog brings down the sheep, it's not fair. It's the same as war, isn't it? I mean, what do we have? We had Jordan Peterson. We had Jordan Peterson with this war scenario with it in Jerusalem, over Gaza and everything. And he said, I hope they bomb the shit out of them. I thought he was a Christian. I thought he was selling Christian belief. Is that very Christian-like? What about all those kids and all those women who and the men who've done nothing wrong? Done nothing wrong. They just want to live somewhere peacefully, and they're having to pay for the politics and the fanatical obsession with these people. And this is what exactly the same scenario about dog training. It's always the positive only side who want to attack everybody, isn't it? Why can't they be positive and put up their work and show us how wonderful it is? Because I'm not seeing it. Anybody else on here seeing it? Could you tell me? Anybody else seeing? Oh, by the way, her indoors is in the background. She's not said a freaking word, has she? Do they know? Do you know she's here? I've missed her when she's not here.
Excuse me, if you read the post, you would know they do.
Oh, if you read the post, you know they do. It's no different immunization injection because whether your dog yelps or not, needles hurt. This is another thing. I think he was talking about that, wasn't he? You put the needle into your dog. I have put needles into dogs myself to give them the injection. Now I take them to the vet, right? But trust me, I've never had a dog yet, never in all the years, yelp when a needle's gone into the dog. Never. Dogs are so much harder than you can imagine. Now, Alistair Brown, how is it possible to be positive with a dog chasing sheep? Exactly, Alistair. Exactly. But what they say is avoidance. Don't take the dog near sheep. But what if the dog gets out and, okay, you live in Bradford. The chances of getting a sheep is down the kebab shop. But at the end of the day, what if your dog gets out and you don't see it? If your dog gets into chasing sheep and you use the punisher to the level that says to the dog, don't go near those sheep, if the dog does get out, it look at the sheep and go off somewhere else. It won't chase the sheep. But if you've got a dog that's only looking at the sheep and you want to teach that dog that's not acceptable, you can just send a message to the dog without being firmer with the dog. It's the same as having a naughty child, isn't it? If you've had a child that's been allowed to grow up, be obnoxious, take over the relationship at home, how do you expect that child to go out in the real wide world and cope? All he's going to do is get into trouble, isn't it? You have to set rules and boundaries. Now, some kids, absolutely brilliant. You bring them up and they never give you any trouble. Other kids will push the boundaries and test the situation, and they're all different. And that's exactly the same as dogs. Exactly the same as dogs. You can have the biggest steak in the world. The sheep outweighs the steak. The reward is the chase. I think that I've been lucky. I've never trained a dog of my own not to chase sheep. My dogs are so in my mode. They love the gameplay. They love the work ethic of doing what they were bred to do. The training they had is I've got the control on them. And I've never had my dogs look at sheep where I've had to punish for looking at sheep. And that's a genuine, in all the years that I've trained dogs, I've never had a dog think, I'm going to chase that sheep. They take no notice of sheep in the field because they've never had the fun element. And that's the thing, isn't it? It's once the dog has had that fun element of the chase, you ain't going to bring it back, like somebody said on here, with gameplay. You ain't going to bring it back with food. That will go out the window. The natural instinct will kick in. The prey drive will kick in. Once it's had a fight with one and had the bite, if they taste blood, it doesn't matter if it's a protection dog, whatever dog it is, they want to chase that sheep and bring it down. It's a natural instinct. And what we want to do is we want to stop it if the dog is showing it. I've got a guy coming here this week. Or is it this week or next week? I'm not sure. And he's coming all the way from up country because his dog is chasing sheep. Am I going to go straight out and see how bad the dog is chasing sheep? No. I'm going to condition the dog on the e-collar. But first, I'm going to watch the dog and see how much control he's got with the dog without the e-collar, and see what level the dog is at with its training. Because the one thing I'm not willing to do is strap an e-collar onto a dog and frighten the shit out of it against the sheep if he's not willing to put the work in to the dog in the first place. Because years ago, I used to train dogs for people, and you train very high standard, and they have the dog all season, and then the dog goes off the rails, and they come back to you and say, dog's not listening to me, Chris, can you sort it out? So you sort it out, you hand it back to them, and they expect it to be like a car serviced. And I used to say to them after the second or third time, right, this is the situation. You're hardening your dog up by not keeping up the training and listening to what I've told you to do. If you give the dog too much freedom, the dog will take over. If you bring it back to me next time and it's not listening, don't bring it back to me, because if you're not willing to put the work in, I'm not willing to beast your dog to get it back online, back on track. Because the more the dog gets away with an unwanted behavior, the more I'm going to have to step it up if the dog has taken over. As simple as that. And why is it fair on the dog for the dog to come back in for an MOT every year where Chris Upton screws it down and makes sure it's stopping and listening, where it gets away with it because the owner hasn't got the decency to learn how to work the dog and keep it to a reasonable standard? I don't mind helping anybody, but there is exceptions when people make no effort. That's just me. It's not all about the money. I've got to earn a living, but it's about the quality that you can have with your dogs. And the people in the group on Patreon, by putting up your videos, this month, there's been that many videos where I couldn't train the dog any better than you've trained it. That's a wonderful endorsement to you people out there who've put that work into those dogs And people say, yeah, but you can put polish on. Well, I may be able to put a little bit of polish with a little bit of information, but there's people out there who send in videos and you can see that they need help, they need guidance, and they get it. Not only do they get that, they get that voiceover of feedback where they're going wrong, how to improve it. You can't do that if you're not a good dog trainer. You can't do that if you haven't got the facility to edit and put up those videos. Those videos are priceless. They're far more important than me showing you my dogs working out in the field in the past when I was bang at it as a competition trainer. I haven't got the footage because when I was running in competition, we didn't have the facilities. Imagine we had the facilities now to look back at the history that I carry inside my head, because I carry every one of those trials. I'm not saying I remember every one of them, there was that many, but I remember so many dogs in so many trials and so many wins and so much success. Success breeds success. If you're winning, people come to you from the trial world because they want to win themselves. I used to get a lot of people from the trial world and they didn't have a clue. They've gone to all the film stars out there, and the film stars have not broke it down into simple format. The film stars can train dogs to a good standard, but they haven't got the time, they haven't got the commitment, but they want your money. And I'm not being nasty, I'm being truthful. Someone said to me the other day, I'm thinking of contacting so-and-so, really well-known top dog trainer up country up north. And I said, you're wasting your time. He won't be training your dog. I'm not being negative. I know exactly what happened. He will not be training your dogs. He will put that dog out to someone else who can train to a reasonable standard, but he will not train your dog. But you will pay his prices. You will pay his prices because he's too busy running around the country winning with dogs on a regular basis. And that's the big difference. The big difference is there's some great professionals out there, but they are blinkered for competition only. And I totally understand. You get hooked with it if you're not careful, and it takes over your life. Well, if that's your buzz, then you've got to do it. My buzz is watching people improve with their dogs. I saw a post the other day, buy them in, you know who sold them a pup straight away. I thought that's got noise or something. There's a reason it's been sold. Exactly. There's so many dogs out there who are sold like that. But guess what? There are genuine people out there, but how can the average person work out what's a genuine person and a person? So if you found a number of people in the country and top people, they would say to you, what are you looking for? How much money do you want to spend? And they'd phone somebody up and they go, you know that dog, have you sold it yet? You've got a dog for sale. And they go, yeah, I've still got it. And you want $2,000 for it? Yeah. Well, I'll put you onto a bloke, but you've got to ask $3,000 for it. $3,000. So they want £1,000 for being the middleman, or 500 quid. But no excuses, Steve. Good evening, everyone. I'm sorry I'm late. Oh no, this is ridiculous. Bloody ridiculous. 10 press ups, Steve. 10 press ups. I want you to video it. I bet you can do 7. Most of the time, you're training people, not the dogs. You're dead right, Chris. Absolutely dead right. And I'm not trying to talk out of school. I'm being totally honest. Some of the top trainers, brilliant trainers, they ain't got time to train people's problem dogs. And if you take a problem dog to them, they're going to have it for a week or two and go, get rid of it. It's freaking rubbish. Why? Because they'll try and flog you another dog that they've got that's trained or been trained by somebody else. 98% is the person, Chris, and 2% is the dog. What are you on about? 2% is the dog.
Training.
No, it's not.
With some.
No way. No way, Karen. Honestly. It's funny, isn't it? Let's just say you're running your dog in competition and you get, let's just say you get a certificate of merit. Good for you. You get a certificate of merit. And you put it on Facebook and you get 200 people go, absolutely brilliant, fantastic, wonderful. Does that give you a buzz to go back and carry on trialing? Or would you ask the question, why did I only get a certificate of merit? And I think you've got to be that party animal sometimes. But I think that first award means so much to you. But then get over it and move on. And then the next time you run, if you're not in the awards, you've got to ask yourself, why wasn't I in the awards? Because unfortunately, a certificate of merit can be you turned up on the day, she said in the background, but she's very, very skeptical. It means you finished the day and you didn't do nothing really wrong. But it didn't mean your dog was anywhere near the standard of first place. But in some cases, with some judges, it can mean the standard was really, really good and they only give out one certificate of merit or two or three. But unfortunately, what they tend to do, some of these judges, they'll give out a certificate of merit for all the dogs that finish in the trial. What does that do for you? Does that give you a false sense of security that you think your dog is better than it really is? And I'm not talking about any individual person, but what I'm saying is one swallow doesn't make a summer. And winning, to me, is everything. But I was a little bit of a party animal. And I think if you want to win on a regular basis, you've got to be that mindset. And I don't think that I would have put up on the internet, I've got a certificate of merit. I think I would be waiting until I got the win. But each to their own, innit, really? Each to their own. And credit for having a go, putting your dog in there. But what we had with Richard Gould gave us a beautiful summary, a write-up, really, of what his dog did right and what his dog didn't do right in his eyes. And it was like listening to a story of the experience of going there. And you don't realize until you go there how much waiting around you've got to do with the dog on the lead. Second place is first loser, but I don't want to win because I suck it up to the judge. Sucking the judge off. Stop it. That's getting rude, Dave. You can't say that. You can't say I'm sucking the judge off. What if it's a woman judge? Stop it. Don't go there. 5 years ago or so, someone kicked me out of your chat. I was asking a lot of questions and the person thought I was taking the piss. Did they? They chucked you out, Jay, did they? Perhaps you were talking shit. Perhaps you've improved in 5 years, Jay. Stop it, Chris. Be nice to me. I don't know why you were chucked out. What do you want me to do? Feel sorry for you? Karen, did you throw him out?
I don't think Karen was there 5 years.
5 years ago, Karen was there. 5 years ago, I think.
Man up, Joe.
3 years ago, I told you that I thought I had a knack of training, and you said a lot of people say that. Well, I'm freaking straight to the point, aren't I, Jay?
Man up.
A year ago, I started my business. Hey, freaking keep him.
Man up.
He manned up. There you go, boy. You didn't throw your toys out the pram and never come back, did you? At the end of the day, if you put up the videos and they're good videos, the first thing Chris will say is bloody hell. That's a cracking video. You've done a right good job there. I'm a moderator, and on this channel, I can say what I want within reason. Yeah. Everybody on this channel can say what they want within reason.
It wasn't Karen, because he wasn't there 5 years ago.
And no, Jay, it wasn't me. One of the things, I put up a piece about Gaza and about the problem out there. And I tried to explain that they said the way the media word things and say unprovoked. Hang on. This has been going on for years. There's hatred on both sides. There's vigilantes on both sides, extremists on both sides. And it's the people in the middle who get hurt, isn't it? And one person in the group, I wrote the comment this morning because it's been bothering me about watching all the dead people and the bombing. And, you know, I just hate war. And yeah, you've got to defend yourself if somebody's freaking attacking you, don't you? I'm not like a peace protester, but I believe that, where does it stop? It just escalates and escalates. And then someone wrote on, there was two or three nice comments on there, sensible comments, and then someone wrote, all Arab, something like all Arabs are the same, or all religion. We're talking about religion, weren't we? And we're talking about the problem with religion, and they brought a religion into it. I think they brought Muslims. I think it was, not Arabs, Muslims. All Muslims are a problem. I thought to myself, do I delete that comment, or do I allow it to stay on the site? Because I believe that people are entitled to their opinion, but there's no way on this earth that I would say all Muslims are troublemakers. No way on this earth, because I don't care what religion you're from. If you're a decent person, you're a decent person. And I cannot I can't take sides like shit like other people do. But I thought for a good hour or so, should I just take his comment off and ban him? And I thought, no, he's entitled to his opinion. Care Taylor, apologies, I'm late. That's 2 of you. That's 10 press ups each. That's 20 press ups. And could you video it for the channel? You're 100% correct. Having grown up in the Troubles, all sides, innocent people die. Exactly, Michael. Exactly. And it's not that I want to be judgmental, but I think I'm entitled to express my opinion on my platform of what I feel. And I feel that war is a terrible thing because there's people in the middle who've done nothing wrong. But you can't say it's unprovoked. You can't say that the war with Russia and Ukraine is unprovoked. They've been fighting for ages. There's fanatical people who just want war.
There's a few for Denver. I don't know whether
sorry, I'm going off on one again, and I'm going down a freaking rabbit hole again because it's bothered me. Because I'm dyslexic, it gets on my brain, and I'll just say these things. So anyway, sorry, you have to put up with me.
I mean, Jay Bird put up a bit earlier.
Oh, and by the way, they blame Trump for the problem in Israel. They blame Trump. Freaking, what's wrong with them, for frig's sake? Blame Trump for everything. Blame me for everything.
You ready?
What, Sue? Read it, Susan.
Well, no, Jay Bird.
Oh, it's hard having a wife in the background nagging you. No, she's lovely. Go on, Sue.
Jay Bird put up a comment. It's not a question or anything, but I don't know whether you've seen it, so I'll test whether you did. He was at a small business market talking with people at my booth, and someone overheard me talking about negative reinforcement. Then someone jumped on Facebook and tried to get me banned at the market.
Unbelievable, isn't it? The woke society, isn't it? The woke society.
Well, people are letting them take over.
This is the problem, isn't it? And I've seen another thing. Let me just say, Lawrence Fox, what he said to that woman, he said, I don't know if anyone could I don't know how anyone could shag a woman like you or whatever. And then it was on not the 9 o'clock news, that satire with Merton and anyway, so the women on there, and Carol Vorman was on there, and they were saying, and one of them said, I wouldn't shag Lawrence Fox, and then the other one said I would, and it was a satire, it's a joke. And then Lawrence Fox jumps on the bandwagon saying it's double standards. They can say that on the BBC, but I can't say it. I get destroyed when I say it. He needs to get a set of freaking bollocks, doesn't he? Because that's like saying, oh, you're woke and you can't take criticism. They were taking the piss out of you. It's called satire. And it was on not the 9 o'clock news. It's like, it's satire. It's comedy. They use humor. He said his on a news channel. And his words were crass, in my opinion. But we hear it all the freaking time, don't we, down the pub? And whether it's women or blokes, and she's wrote some shit crap stuff on her own site saying I wouldn't shag that and I wouldn't do this. But it's become ridiculous, isn't it? They'll pull you for a word and you'll walk out, stop fight. They'll disengage your money. They'll try and take your income off you. So everyone's having to sort of think about every word they say on the internet, because it's going to upset someone and someone takes offense by it. And I've been listening to American courts at the moment with Twitter, and how they're taking away freedom of speech by monitoring everything everyone's saying, and getting Biden and Trump contacting them and saying, take that down, we don't want that up, we don't need that up. You know, the laptop saga, they wanted to hide that, and it's actually the Secret Service, their Secret Service, they're getting involved as well, monitoring what people say. And we talk about freedom of speech. It's one of the biggest things that we're losing, but we're losing it because they're demanding and they're threatening and taking people down for their opinions. And that's the problem with dog training. In a minute, some idiot's going to go, well, I showed it today. I put it up today. The Kennel Club put up a special full page, didn't they, saying, we need your support because we're not winning this battle to have the e-collar banned. They promised us they would ban it, and they've not banned it. We need your support. We need as much support as possible. They actually waste their time of putting that up in the main media. Please think about the poor animals. Will Smith and the Men in Black are watching us all. Yeah. And we'll be vaporized in a minute, won't we?
Jay came back and said about that post, 2 of my clients jumped on the page and taught the person what negative reinforcement was, and the woman took the post down.
Exactly. Exactly. But that's the whole point, isn't it? But they've been brainwashed by idiots like Zach George. And the problem is they're posting an agenda and attacking everybody and anybody who doesn't agree with them. And it's that woke society. And people say to me, why have you stood up to it all, Chris, and said, bollocks to you, this is how I train a dog, and I want the right to train the dog the way I see fit. And I challenge you that I'll train a dog, you train a dog, and let's see if anyone can measure the fact that that dog's had discipline or not had discipline. Because I can tell you, and you people, with the right amount of discipline, when to apply discipline, how to apply discipline, and gameplay, and all the other elements coming together, you producing dogs as good as I can train. That is a testament in itself. That's a testament into the fact that you've listened, you've trusted me, you've got on board, you've even paid me. How many trainers out there are having the lifestyle that I'm having, fair and proportionate? Exactly, Graham. Having the lifestyle that I'm having because of the following of the customers who support you. Without that support, I'd be working down Tesco's pushing freaking trolleys. But I tell you what, I'd be freaking holding up the traffic because I can't conform to all this shit. Put the trolleys in a neat row. I'd be putting them back to freaking front sideways and causing chaos. I'd have flashing lights if I was working in Tesco's. I'd have fairy lights on all the freaking trolleys as I'm putting them away. But everybody would think he loves that job because you only get out of a job what you put in.
You've seen Elf, haven't you?
I've seen Elf. Yeah, Sue said I've seen Elf. Elf on the Shelf.
Denver had a question earlier.
Go on then, Denver. Where is it, Denver?
Right, hang on, I'll go back.
She's good, isn't she? She's good, isn't she? She's going back and back and back. Back in time. She's getting younger every second. She's going back.
Right. New pup got me confused.
Here we go.
As really young pup came straight back with retrieve, but held onto it a bit, but not a problem. Then brought straight back and gave it over nicely. Now, beginning of training plays me off, comes back halfway, then runs off with it, but after a few brings it back fine. Any thoughts?
Well, I only read part of that. He must have come back in and done some more. All right, yeah, it's further down, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It like got half of it up. Now beginning the training, plays me up, comes back halfway, and then runs off with it. But after a few, brings it back to me Fine. How old is the pup? When you say new pup, freaking, he's always got a new pup. How old is the new pup, Denver? Come on. I need to answer that. I need to know that before I give you. The best is Sue. No, she's not. Stop it. You need an alleyway. What? We do.
Almost 6 months.
Yeah, well, it's 6 months. It's going through that stage of learning process. So I wouldn't worry about it, Denver. Praise it when it comes back. Say nothing to it when it doesn't. Don't make a big thing of it. Put the game away if the dog's not interested in playing the game. At 6 months old, you've had success. You should have praised the pup for the success and then do it again the next day. If the dog brings it in, use that praise, use that kind reaction to the dog. The dog goes, oh, I like this. I like playing this game. Play as many as you want to a certain degree, 4 or 5. Get that. Praise the dog. Praise the dog. When the dog doesn't do it, don't make nothing of it. It's 6 months old. I never ever put pressure on them. Anyway, I'm gonna try and work out what I think. Karen's been on the freaking brandy. I think the best is Sue. I don't know why he said that. He ain't got a freaking clue, has he? You need an alleyway. What do you mean we need an alleyway? We've got a freaking bedroom here, mate. We don't need an alleyway. With a dead end.
Talking to Denver.
Denver's doing it. Denver's, trust me,
Hallway.
he's doing it in the hallway, in the alleyway, in the hallway with the doors closed. He don't need an alleyway. Honestly, I thought you were talking about sex for a second. With a dead end. Yeah, now I know what you're on about. For the dog. Oh, Jordan, for the dog.
He is a very dominant pup.
Yeah, I love dominant pups. Let them go through it. They go through a stage. They go through a stage. And don't make too much of it. Trust me, they'll come out the other side. It's like a teenager. You have to step in and go, hang on. There is ground rules here, but as they're going through those learning curves, you don't put too much on it. I wouldn't worry about it in the slightest. I like a dog that wants to hold on to it. I'd rather have a dog that holds on to it than drops it all the time, because the dog that drops it hasn't got the confidence. Early and dominant women. Yeah. I did watch. What did I see the other day? A Latino woman. And I said to Sue, honestly, Sue, I love you dearly, but she would be my wet dream. Wet dream. She says, that would just kill you. That would kill you. Well, what a way to go, eh? What a way to go. Anyway, any questions? 42 minutes gone. 43 minutes gone. Any questions, anybody? We're not going to talk about Scotland and the rugby. We're not going to talk about Scotland and the rugby. I like to talk about Scotland when they do well. I was so disappointed on Saturday. I was depressed, actually. I was depressed. Honestly, that Leanne Vine knows how to get me going. And dominant women. Honestly. Dominant women with boots on. Eh? Not Wellingtons. High heels. I'll be your stud. So is there any more questions?
No, I don't think.
Steve pasted on my head, and I'm singing that Will Smith. Just the man in black. He's done my head in today, Steve. As he had to bring that up, Will Smith and the Men in Black. Will Smith, me, believes in punishment, doesn't he? Look what he did to that freaking comedian. He lost his rag, didn't he? Anyway, eat brown bread instead of white. Die healthier. I'm freaking sure Karen's on freaking something tonight. Is he on the red wine? He's a moderator as well. He's on the red freaking wine tonight, isn't he? Yeah, so what else did I listen to this week? Well, I've listened to loads this week. Yeah, I've got a video actually loading here at the moment, and I should be able to put it up when we come off, because it was unfortunately taking a little while to load. And I think you'll enjoy the video that's going up. And What else was I going to say? Was anybody got any questions? No, nobody's got any questions. I got freaking 15 minutes to kill on this, Sue.
Yep.
15 minutes. Come on, let's have a quick fire question thing. Come on. Actually, Jay Bird, come on, ask some questions. Put me under pressure. Come on, put me under pressure.
We won't put you off. We won't moderate you.
We won't moderate you, Sue said. We'll let you ask any question you like tonight. How about that? France versus South Africa. Who will win? Bloody good one, Denver. I ain't got a freaking clue. Good game, though. That should be, shouldn't it? That should be a good game, shouldn't it? England didn't play so well, neither, did they? I don't think the Welsh played that well, did they? No. I think they won last minute. England, didn't they? With 1 point up or something like that.
Ireland, New Zealand, then. What's that one then?
Yeah, that'll be good fun, won't it? Okay. Was related to earlier conversations. You're behind tonight, Chris. Good job. Sue is on the ball. Freaking, that's it. You're getting it tonight, Karen. I'm going to ring Ailey up and wind her up. Jordan, would you rather buy a pup from Good Gundogs, no trial lines, or good trial lines? Well, the thing is, it's a good question, Jordan. If you know the dog and you've seen it work, and you're the sire and you've seen that work, then if you're happy with them, then I would go for that. And it could save you money. But it's amazing how many people go for the top, like the in vogue dog that everybody's using. And yeah, Ireland is playing well, aren't they? Ireland, yeah, you're right, Michael. You're bang in there with Ireland. They're playing bloody brilliant, aren't they? I mean, they made Scotland look poor, didn't they? Jill Lamb. Hi guys, hope you're all right. I think that's Barry, in it. I don't think it's the missus. I think it's Barry. George, going back to George's question, would you rather buy a pup from Good Gundog trial lines, or I think that at the end of the day, good Gundog trial lines, you've got far more chance of quality, because there's the proof that they've won. There's the proof that they've done it. Would I prefer to use a dog that's been consistently winning? Yes, without fail. Not a one-hit wonder. But hey, there's plenty of one-hit wonders out there that deserve to win. And in the right hands, there's thousands and thousands of dogs bought from the film stars that don't make the grade because they don't get the training right, or the dog is too driven, the dog is too sensitive. They're all different. And I think it was a good question by Jordan, because I would quite happily have a dog that I know a mate who's got a cracking dog that works beautiful. But there's dogs on our group that I would be happy to have a pup out of. Simple as that. Bitches on our group that I would be happy to have a pup out of. And there's dogs in the group that I'd be happy to put on a bitch of mine to produce quality, because I can see quality in them. But not everybody can see quality. Not everybody can read what they really need. And it's not only the trainability that's so important, and that you don't get if you're just using a mate's dog down the road and another mate's dog down the road, guaranteed. But nothing is guaranteed. It's all guessometry. But you've got far more chance if you buy from quality. That's the whole point. Far more chance if you buy from quality. What you're doing, you're playing the percentage game. As simple as that.
Robert, stop.
Karen, I read that and I thought, I'm not going to make a comment, because I thought you were talking dirty in your sleep, going off with someone else. And apparently she was not happy, and you were getting bread and water, wasn't it, for tea or something like that? I did read it and I thought, oh, he's telling freaking the truth in his sleep. He's been out with girls. Sue said to me one day, she said, what were you dreaming last night? I said, none of your bloody business. None of your bloody business what I do at night. Who knows what? Do you know what? It's funny, isn't it? Because dreams are strange, aren't they? Sometimes I have the strangest of dreams and think, why did I have that dream? Why did that past come up in my dream? And then other days you think, I didn't sleep very well last night. I couldn't get to sleep. And yet other times you dream like a... I love dreams. And I can vividly remember a lot of my dreams, but I want to keep that to myself.
There's a
Leanne,
question from Robert.
go on then.
Without a rabbit pen, what's your advice for steadying a dog?
Well, you get your steadiness on your dog first, Robert, as in you can throw dummies. If you build the drive with dummies and the ball, and you can get the stop on the dog with that really sharp, once you start getting out on the birds, I'm just, like I said, I'm just about posting up a video of one of our members working a dogging in. For anybody who wants to learn, it's a really important video. I don't want to give everything away too soon, but it's a very important video for anybody who wants to learn. It's about timing. It's about stopping the dog on the flush. It's about giving the right commands. That's where I educate the dog. If you haven't got a rabbit pen, get them out, dogging in, pushing birds back. Every time the dog flushes a bird, the dog's got to stop. The dog's got to stop sharp. If you've done your training right, the dog should stop sharp. If on the odd occasion it doesn't, the verbal cue should be enough to say to the dog, you're not happy. Stop it, Leanne, dogging. Stop it. What's dogging, she says. She doesn't know. Can someone explain to her? It's not sitting in a car, Leanne. You're on the wrong site. It's not sitting in a car park with sweaty windows and flashing your lights, Leanne. I know you're getting excited. Dogging, ? I know they've put some programs on telly lately trying to express what dogging's about, sharing your missus with other people or sharing your husband with other people. But no, dogging is pushing back birds. Good question, Leanne. Dogging. Because if we got anybody else on here, I could be reported, couldn't I, for this? He's trying to promote dogging all over the country. Dogging in is dogging. In other words, pushing the birds back into the center of the estate for the keepers. So you do the outside parameters and you're pushing birds back in for them. Or even on a small shoot, you're doing that for your own shoot. You're just keeping the birds in the cover crops where you want the birds to be. So you do the outside areas, the magical 1,000 flushes that condition the dog. Exactly, Steve. We say, don't we? Until your dog's out of that 1,000 flush and stop, 1,000 flush and stop. If you shoot over it too soon, you can make the dog a little bit. Now, you're going to get some people like Jay going, 1,000 birds, you jammy bastards. Where do you get 1,000 birds? That's where we're really lucky. That's where we're really lucky. Well, and on the live feed, we had Adam, who's got his own. No kidding, says Jay. No kidding. He'd be out for fucking 4 years. Adam was talking about this. He's got the facilities with all the birds, but it can be too much for a dog. And so many keepers that I know have got the facilities of thousands and thousands of birds, and you don't want that. You want the right amount. But it's the keeper just wants the dog to be an all-rounder, don't he? He wants to dog in the birds. He wants the dog to do a number of things for him. And then most of the keeper's dogs on shoots are not that good. There's bloody birds everywhere down here at the minute, says Jordan. Lucky bloody Jordan. Some people are crying out for it. Think yourself lucky if you've got birds. There's birds around here everywhere as well. And you've got to be careful because they're not really flighty at the moment. And some of them birds haven't developed properly. And you don't want to be putting a dog in thick cover and it starts pegging. There's nothing worse. Oh, here we go. Leanne's going to go, what's pegging now? Honestly, this gets worse. This is why I say to you that sex and dog training is related, isn't it? Dogging, pegging. This gets worse, doesn't it? Lucky we know what we're talking about. I haven't seen a good keeper's dog yet around my area. Exactly. My first day is next week picking up. I can't wait. Good for you, Leanne. Good for you. And you do a good job with your dogs, Leanne. I've seen them, and you should be proud of them. You do a cracking job. I mean, I reckon you could send them from one end of the island to the other, the way you're training. I've seen some of your videos. They're absolutely lovely. Dogging and pegging in the alleyway. Yeah, and in the alleyway as well, up the back passage. Up the back passage, you dirty bastards! Behave yourselves!
Denver, honestly.
Denver? Up the alleyway.
Yeah,
You said find yourself a little alleyway, didn't they? Someone said find yourself a dark alleyway. Where there's no exit, where there's no frigging exit. I'm thinking, what the frick's he talking about? Honestly, that would be absolutely what. Frank Casey, behave yourself. Thanks, Chris. I will come over to Cornwall one day. Not for dogging, not for. Only birds we get here are pen raised and planted. Exactly, Jay. Because
grass is 12 feet tall.
Because you've got predators. This is the problem, isn't it? Elephant grass. You can't work a dog in elephant grass easy, and it gets fucked up with what?
It gets fucked up here every week in the last 15 minutes.
It does. It goes downhill, doesn't it? It just goes down frigging hill, innit? That's really lowered the tone, Denver. Yeah, Denver. Honestly. Next, you'll be talking about getting a poop scoop. Shut up, you lot. Honestly, no wonder I have to say no kids. I have to say no kids. There's going to be people on here going, the dirty bastards. The dirty bastards. Don't join that group of dirty bastards.
They're probably laughing at youngsters if they're there.
Sorry, Steve, in a funny mood. I'd rather everybody in a funny mood at the moment than all the doom and gloom out there. I was watching Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan, I know he's smoking a freaking lot of wacky backy. But he freaking, and I'm with him, and I don't smoke wacky backy. I generally don't smoke wacky backy. He's going, I'm really concerned. This could be World War III. And it could. The Middle East could be World War III. And yet we're on here. We're having a bit of banter. We're talking about dogs. We're having a laugh. We're doing a little bit of serious stuff. And yet we're using a bit of humor, aren't we? Because life's too freaking short to be too serious, isn't it?
Well, Steve's
I mean, I'm only 5'9.5".
Steve's jealous because he wishes thought of it. And it's after 9 o'clock, Jordan said.
There you go.
And Karen said, if you can't laugh, you'll cry.
West and southwest have short grass. North of the middle have 10 foot of grass. Bloody hell, Jay. You've got, you're up against it to a certain extent, aren't you? And yet, it depends where you go, isn't it? Because, when I went to Texas, it was so hot. To me, it was a waste of time having dogs, and yet they were working them in unbelievable heat. Well, they have to, because they got that heat. They have to learn to cope with it. And they run wide as well. So they run long, as we say. And at the end of the day, they're covering some ground. But you have to build stamina. Where I've just put a video up with a young dog that's going tomorrow, and it's going to its new owner tomorrow, and he jumps in the back of the truck, and he's a soft dog, but he jumps in the back of the truck. You'd have to pick him up. You'd have to put him in. And I've done a video on purpose because I believe that as soon as he gets to the new person, it's going to take him maybe 2 weeks, maybe a month to settle in, because he's quite a sensitive chap. Where other dogs, I would think that dog will just freaking like push boundaries if you allow it. And I tell him, don't let that dog push boundaries. He's a good dog, but you don't need this one. I think that you're going to have to give him a little bit extra time. But he jumps in the back of the car as if he loves it, because he goes out and he has fun. He walks on the lead without pulling because he's not a driven dog, as in he's not been allowed to pull. He hit the end of the line as a youngster when I had a long line on him. He bucked like a bronco. I remember putting the video up. Now, as soon as he goes on the line, it's like, I surrender. I'll walk alongside you. And he doesn't look the happiest dog in the world because he doesn't want to get anything wrong. But I don't want him being a bolshy little bastard for the owner. I want him to be a sensible, sensitive chap, and he'll only get the bond better and better. But if I haven't taken the video of the dog, of what he's capable of doing and how he's reacting here on the premises, and the owner gets him and he goes within himself, he could think the dog's shit scared of everything. And I say to him, well, yeah, but just give him a few weeks, he'll come out of himself. Some dogs, you wouldn't even have to say that. You know their temperaments. And that's what it's about. And it's the same scenario as hunting. If your dog has been out there and done lots of it, and you've got after it in the field when it's gone wrong, the dog is going to be far more experienced because you've got after it and educated it. The more you educate it, the more it learns. The more you allow it to get away with bad behavior, that's where a good trainer doesn't need to grab hold of a dog every time it goes wrong to correct it. The tone of the voice, if you've trained it to a good level, is enough. And that's what I liked about Steve's video that you put up. He put the dog in real temptation, but he showed you what he did when it went wrong. He changed his tone of his voice. That is so important. He didn't have to get out after the dog and give the dog a ragging. And I've seen it where trainers have gone, I wouldn't accept that. I'd get after that dog and I'd give that dog a massive ragging. Well, hang on. What did I tell about Jeff's dog? Jeff's dog's a completely different dog. You've got to get after Jeff's dog because Jeff's dog is completely different. He's a headstrong, driven dog. But I love that sort of dog, but it wouldn't suit everybody. And at the end of the day, horses for courses. And just because I train a dog or somebody else trains a dog and then they pass it to somebody else or sell it to somebody else, some dogs take time to settle in. And some dogs may take a month. And some dogs, when they come here for training and they've been with the owner and the owner's spoilt them or the owner's not done a lot with them, they take 3-4 weeks before I can even start the serious training. So to begin with, it's just socialization, getting the dog around you, stroking the dog, letting the dog come into you, gain the trust. And not enough people do it. A lot of trainers are put under pressure to go, that dog's got to be worked on. Mine are very headstrong and driven. Leanne, you've done an absolute cracking job with yours. I'm glad you said that, because if people watch your videos, they wouldn't think they were, because you've mastered them nicely, but they've not lost the drive and the desire. And that drive is so important if you can control it. If you can't control it, it's a nightmare. It's a bit like me in the bedroom. If Sue couldn't control me, I'd be a bloody nightmare. Leanne, what breed? Don't say pointer. Don't say pointer. He'll be salivating. Don't say, oh no. I had a dog in for a week. It was friends. Did it for a favor. The dog had been absolutely mollycoddled like you've never seen. The dog completely shut down for 5 days. They were shaking. Exactly. I've seen it, Karen. I've seen it. But I guarantee once that dog that is going tomorrow finds his feet and settles in, that person's going to be over the moon that dog's a softer dog. Over the moon that dog's a softer dog. And it will gel with him as a person. I'm positive about it. And the more he works with it, the more he'll enjoy the dog. But it's all part and parcel of having the experience. I've had dogs here before that can't get in the back of a car. They piss themselves because they've been trained on a farm or on a gun dog property, and they've never been in a car. So they've never been traveled in a car. Dogs need to learn to travel in cars. The same as the police, when they used to come around looking for drugs dogs, driven dogs that love retrieving. All my dogs love retrieving. That's why over the years I've sold so many dogs for police dogs. But the one thing I don't do is let them take it away to see how confident the dog is, whether it'll go up an escalator or around a fire escape, that, one of them freaking, what's the name, fire escapes. I go, hang on, it's never been on a fire escape. You've got to teach it to walk up a fire escape. If you want a dog to walk across the roof of your freaking house, you've got to teach it to walk across the roof of your house. Anyway, on that note, that's 1 hour and 4 minutes. I hope you've enjoyed yourselves. That's 29 people in the house and 9 thumbs up. Do you know what? I stopped asking for thumbs up these days. I've stopped asking for it. I mean, if I had 10 thumbs up, I'd get so excited tonight if someone gave me a thumbs up. But no one does these days, do they? Most importantly, build a bond and trust with the dog. Some take longer than others, and keep it simple. Spot on, Chris. Absolutely spot on. Anyway, bollocks all. I hope you enjoyed it tonight. We've covered a few subjects, haven't we? Have a good week, and get out there training and having fun on those shoots. You've put the work in, and now it should pay dividends. Cheers all. Chris Upton signing off with Susie Two Shoes in the background. Say good night, Susie Two Shoes.
Good night.
Oh, she did. She said it there. Look, take care, everybody. Be safe. She's such a sweetie pie, isn't she? Look at this. Karen, stop sending her frigging love hearts. I mean, I'll have to start doing that. Good night, bollocks all.